Welcome to my channel. My name is Emmy from Emmy Evolving. If this is your first time joining me, thank you for finding me. If this is not your first time, thank you for coming back. So, guys, bear with me. I'm trying out a new format. Let me see. I'm trying out a new format. I didn't realize it would affect my intro that way. All right. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I heard is preparing for your dreams to come true. So, are you ready for your dreams to come true? Are you ready to take on all the challenges that are preventing you from being able to realize your greatest dreams and bring them to fruition? If you're at a point in your journey where everything that you do seems to be met with resistance by other people, by circumstance, by your insecurities, I think maybe this reading is going to be for you. Okay. I think a lot of what's going to be happening in this specific reading is going to help you make sense, like really make sense of what it is that your soul is asking you to do. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Alrighty. Is it does it fit your guys' screen better having this format? Just super curious what your thoughts are while I go ahead and get some cards ready for us. Do you guys like this? Or do you prefer the full screen? Whew. It has definitely been a week. This morning began for no reason at all with some really negative feeling type energies, no? Is it just me, or is this affecting quite a few people? Like, just really weird energies, you know? You prefer the full screen? I know this is kind of weirding me out. It's kind of weirding me out, to be honest. But we'll make do. I can't change it now. So I'm it's seeming like everyone wants a fuller screen. All right. Give me 1 second. So, preparing for your dreams to come true. Yeah, no. I'm just going to keep everything the way it is and put that back on the screen. All right. Here goes. And final deck. Have you been so emotional? Has anyone else been more emotional today? Okay. It's a little too up in your personal space. I get it. I get it. Uh, I cannot change it back, unfortunately. Let me see if. How about this? Is that too small now? Is that too small? Because now it's like. Oh my goodness. Let's see what happens. We could switch it up. Okay. This might be a nice compromise. All right, guys, we're ready. We are ready. Okay. So let's see. Oh, also really quick. So tomorrow I'm going to be going live to do the Divine Wealth Eclipse fire ceremony. It's not a lunar eclipse, it's a solar. I'm over here the whole time thinking, yeah, no, solar is, and but I wrote lunar. Anyways, the time had to be changed because I realized I'm not going to be able to wake up and be functional at that time. I mean, I can try, but then I would be forcing you guys to do that too. So if you would like to purchase an expedite, a reading, a scan, some type of energy work, go check it out. The time has been changed to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will be up in time for the eclipse, the actual eclipse, and I'm going to be charging a whole bunch of different crystals and all of that. So with that, uh, you know, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be more than fine. All right, here goes, guys. Let's start. I asked what this reading was going to be about, and what I heard is preparing for your dreams to come true. Okay. Just really letting your dreams be the very, oh, what am I doing? Be the very thing that you're focusing on, bringing those things to fruition. All right. Mm, mhm. Mhm. Okay. So there's something that's kind of been concealed, right? Whatever it is that's been hidden, maybe it has to do with feelings, maybe it has to do with emotions, whatever it is that it has to do with is not going to be hidden from you for much longer. It's just, it's not going to be hidden from you for much longer. This is something that's going to come front and center. It is coming home to your awareness. You are going to be made very aware of what this is. What is it? Maybe it's a thing that's been blocking your abundance. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's been the thing that's been blocking your most profound dreams from coming true, right? So let's roll with this. Let's see how it continues. This is really weirding me out. I'm sorry, guys. It's weirding me out because of the fact that I look extra extra tiny. I look so small. I look so small, you guys. Okay, that's okay. I need to get over it because reality is, Miss Nicolina. Nicolina, you are not a big person. But I look so small. I look so small. I'm sitting in a child's seat. I'm sitting on a little bear. It's okay. Holy shit, I'm having an existential crisis right now. What is going on? Reel it in. Reel it in. Reel it in. All right. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. All right. So something is coming, and it's something that maybe you've tried to hide, maybe someone else has tried to hide, and it's really going to come full circle all the way into your field of awareness. This is difficult. This is difficult because this is the very thing, whatever this awareness is, it's the very thing that's preventing you from creating new opportunities. These opportunities that have been waiting for you to claim them. There's a lot of claiming needing to happen. And if you don't allow yourself to lay claim, that's what I'm hearing. Allow yourself to lay claim on what is rightfully yours. I think I'm being totally set up right now. Jesus loves me. Oh, yes, he does. Jesus loves little me. Oh, yes, he does. Jesus loves tiny me. I fit in a milk crate, sitting on a toddler seat. Jesus loving me. Oh, this is so weirding me the F out. Girl, you're gonna have to work through this. You're gonna have to work through this. Um, no, I'm not gonna end the live stream. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going, and this I really need to focus on making sure that I remain focused. You know what I'm saying? Just really making sure that I remain focused because um, what's happening right now, it's important for us to push past whatever it is, right? So no more moving things. I didn't realize the background would be moving. Okay. So starting over from the top, right? Going over the same cards. There's something that's been hidden from you. And I think whatever's been hidden from you is definitely something that you have greatly struggled with facing. So now you're going to be needing to face whatever this is. You're going to be needing to look it straight in the eyes and be able to acknowledge whatever it is that you're needing to acknowledge. This is going to be brought straight home to you. You're going to need to be able to accept the information that is going to be coming through. It's going to be delivered directly into your hands, into your awareness. And whatever it is that's delivered to you, these are the components that are necessary for you to begin creating circumstance and opportunities that will lead to a much more beneficial outcome for you. Whatever this is, it's what's been blocking you, right? And wouldn't you know, the next card, masculine. There is a masculine component that you have not been willing to see. Nervous laughter. There is a masculine component that is really coming front and center, right? 100% at 1221, 13, 22, 41. Mm. Both of you are being guided in the same direction. 13 is that divine feminine. 22 is elevated guidance. 2 and 2 is both of you being guided for your paths to intersect. And then the 41, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 being the number of change. 1221 being inverted mirrors of each other, right? And that becomes 3 and 3. I wouldn't be surprised if either you guys both have the number 33 as your um, divine path, birth number, whatever you guys call it. I also would not be surprised if part of the instruction being given by soul is for you to receive this information and do something productive with it. Do something that's more than just avoiding, more than just you trying to mitigate however it is that you feel about whatever it is. And then, you know, not realizing that what you're going through, it's the very thing that's developing your understanding of who you are and what you're here for. I think for many of us, we really struggle with the acknowledgement of certain things. And these certain things that we struggle to acknowledge are things that would definitely be necessary for you to understand what it is you need to do. I think that's why for many of us, we don't understand what soul is guiding us to do because we're blocking the very information. We're preventing the very individuals who are tasked to deliver messages to us. Maybe they don't even know that this is what they're needing to do, why they find it so hard to steer clear of you, right? And no, I'm not talking about stalkers. I'm not talking about disrespectful people who behave like pigs. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about very healthy people for you. I feel it's very, very important for me to clarify. If someone has been absolutely toxic and disrespectful of your space and your sovereignty, listen carefully. Fuck those people. And I say that with as much venom as I can muster. Fuck those people. Let yourself be pissed. Okay? And maybe if you allow yourself to really experience the degree of anger, righteous rage for the fucking shit that you have dealt with, maybe then you can begin processing and purging all of that shit out. Because that's another blockage. That is another blockage. No, don't listen to the people who tell you, oh, you need to just let it go. Why are you so mad? Unless they've had something similar happen to them, they have no space to talk to you whatsoever. Do not listen to the people who gaslight you into this space of thinking it's your fault. I'm sorry. How is it your fault that someone is toxic, mentally ill? I'm not even saying that as a joke. I'm absolutely being literal right now. How is that your fault? That is not your fault. Letting go of any connections you have to that degree of toxicity is crucial for you to be able to move forward. That is unnecessary weight, unnecessary baggage that doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong to you. Give it back to the person who tried to convince you that that was something you needed to carry for someone else. Hell no. Now is a time for you to focus on what you need to focus on. What is it that you need to focus on? What is it? Do you need to see the ways in which your dedication needs to be shifted back to you? Right? Because I think for many of us, we get so comfortable being dedicated to toxic people's behaviors, the distractions in life, the people who are so unhealthy for us. We get so dedicated to that that we refuse to move forward unless we can bring all of that with us. And then we wonder, how come life never changes? How come we always keep experiencing the same pain, the same yuckiness? Honey, baby boo, if you keep bringing that forward with you, you're the only one responsible for that at this point. Now, if you didn't know that that's what you were doing, clearly it's hard to take accountability for a decision you're unaware that you keep making, right? But now you're gaining awareness of the ways in which you can powerfully change your life, preparing for your dreams to come true. Let's come up with an analogy, okay? So you've bought land in the wilderness. You've bought several acres. It's beautiful. It's virgin land. Nothing's ever been built there. There's a whole bunch of different um, wild bushes, plants, whatever it is, right? Whatever naturally grows there. Now, you want to build your dream home there. Who wouldn't? You want to make that your sanctuary. Who wouldn't? It's beautiful. It's peaceful. It represents everything that you've been working so hard to achieve, to build for yourself. Will you be able to live there, have a house there, the house of your dreams, without clearing out what has been growing there haphazardly? You're going to have to clear some of that out. There can be areas that can remain untouched by you. But wherever it is, you're going to lay the foundation for your dream home. You're going to need to clear that out. Unless you don't really want that dream home. You could always use that land with tents. You could have a tent there. I don't know how comfortable you'd be, but you always have that option. I mean, do you want it to be your dream home or do you want it to be a campsite? If you want your dream to come true, you're going to have to clear out the overgrowth of old things past, things that have no business being in your present or even part of your future. Some things, some people have no business following you into your future manifestations. Someone has to tell you this. I don't mind if it's me. Not everything you have right now, from people to connections to jobs to mindset to any aspect of your life, to be honest. Not all of that is designed or allowed to follow you into your future endeavors. Could you imagine the tragedy of me allowing the aspects of me that prevent me from actually being me and witnessed by all of you? So, what does that mean? Had I allowed those aspects of me to join me in my future endeavors, meaning my current present moment, I would not be willing to speak as openly, as candidly, and allow you to see such vulnerability. I would be a very watered down, distorted expression of my current self. I would be the cutesy, fartsy, kawaii girl. I would be very hesitant to speak in a way so profound that even the first time you watch me, your entire perception of your world, your life, your journey is shook from the foundation, shaking off of you all of the BS, all of the distortions. And for the first time, seeing clearly, like, whoa, why am I feeling this girl so deep down into my core? It's like she's speaking to me directly. What is going on? I've never experienced this. You know what's going on? I am gifting you a portion of my courage so that until your courage rises to the surface, you can borrow some of mine and start to make the moves that are necessary for you to get to the next part, for you to reacquaint yourself with the next version of you, a version of you that is much, much, much more authentic, much more liberated from the confines of societal norms, familial norms, programs that block you from experiencing the things that really need to be experienced. I'm not saying I'm your savior. I want to make that clear. What I am saying, what I'm trying to communicate, is that I am a projection, externalized projection of your internalized potentiality. That's why you resonate with me. If there wasn't a part of you that already was very similar to me, if there wasn't that existing deep inside you, you would feel no resonance with me. You would not be profoundly affected in the most beneficial manner by my sharing of my perceptions. All of my videos are merely a sharing of my opinions, my perceptions. You guys know this. I've told you this over the years. That's all it is. I once had a very, very dear friend of mine um, kind of express how, it's almost like this thing of they're glad that I share with them my thoughts on things because it's like the way I see things is so different and so profound, and it gives them clarity and all of these really beautiful things, and I felt very humbled by that. But in that moment of really bringing me to my knees and having me feel an even more expanded sense of humbleness, I came to a realization of, no, no, you just think that. The reality is we think the same, but you haven't yet given yourself permission to accept these thoughts. So the reality is this: I'm not so different from you. Because if I was that different, there was no part of you deep within yourself that already thinks and sees the way I think and see the world. There would be no resonance. The only difference between me and you is I'm further down the path. And the only reason I'm further down the path is to be able to go back and tell you, like, no, 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 you're on the right path. It's amazing after the bend in the road. Like, you'll see the view, like, oh my gosh, don't worry. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I'm just around the bend. I felt the same way you did. And then life showed me, like, I need to keep going. And when I kept going, and I got past the bend in the road, I realized why I needed to keep going and how beautiful it actually is. And there's nothing scary there. There's no destruction there. There's no ulterior plans to destroy you. Just waiting there, waiting until you arrive. Like, no, there's none of that. It's nothing but beauty. It's nothing but beauty. The amount of resonance that you feel with the people in your environment is usually indicative of what lives inside you. You're surrounded by relatives who are extremely toxic, and they oftentimes tell you that you're the toxic one and you can't relate with any of them. That's probably because you're not as toxic as they're trying to convince you that you are. That's probably because they are projecting onto you all of their own insecurities in hopes to keep you confined to the same spaces that they are confined in. Because should you liberate yourself, um, shines a light on the ways in which they're deficient to themselves, right? Sometimes you are very unhappy in the environment that you're in because you've already outgrown that environment long time ago. But your loyalty to the toxic things, your loyalty and commitment to the toxic cycles, they keep you there, stuck in that same space, because how dare you think you're better? No. I used to have people say that kind of stuff to me, like, "Oh, you think you're better than everyone." And I used to be like, "But I I don't. Is there something about me that I'm not seeing?" Absolutely. There was absolutely something about me that I wasn't seeing. I've never thought I was better than anyone. It's the insecure people who have labeled me themselves as better than them that are trying to shame me into a space of staying small, knowing damn well I don't belong in that environment, but wanting to be able to cage and hold on to the unicorn in their lives, right? Have you ever thought about how you're a unicorn in someone else's life? I think for many of you, you'll find that this is accurate. You are absolutely a living unicorn in your environment. There's not many people like you in your environment. That's why you feel so off and so alone. And then you come here and it's like, wait, wait, why am I vibing so hard with everyone here? Why does it feel so safe? Well, why does it feel like I'm finally home? Oh, because this is a community of unicorns. We are a community of magical AF people. And it's okay for you to recognize that you're magical. It's not offensive for me or to me for you to recognize you're absolutely my equal. Absolutely. I mean, what's so different between you and I? Not much. Not much. Not much. There is not much different between you and I. Your future can no longer be contained. You can no longer sidestep this. You can no longer get to where you need to go by pretending you don't need to go down the path that you're already being pushed onto. Okay? There's a lot of things that you're imagining, and these things that you're imagining has to do with the words, the fictitious words that come from other people's mouths. Words that try and convince you that spinning in circles is the only path for you. No, it's not. Step into your power. Put the right hat on and step into your power. Allow yourself to get to a space where you can recognize, excuse me, you can recognize that it's time to let go of the very hands that keep dragging you down into the mud, right? Just because people want to stay in the mud does not mean that's where you belong. And the mud is not the same as the muddy, murky waters that help a lotus to thrive. The mud doesn't have enough water. You belong in the actual water, not in the mud, not at the shoreline. You belong in the water, flowing beautifully, gracefully, allowing yourself to recognize, see, the cards are calling y'all out. They're calling you out. You're being told, instructed to trust yourself. Why are you being told, instructed to trust yourself? Because you're struggling to recognize that you actually are, in fact, heaven sent, that your existence is something a person prayed upon, asked God for. Why would someone ask God for me, of all people? Well, because your existence is a solution to a problem that existed before you came into form. That's why. And no, whoever prayed you into existence might not even know you exist yet. Because it's not always your parent that prays for you to exist. You have to recognize the divine interconnectedness of all living things. Of all living things. There is a divine interconnectedness. And even the people who bring you hardship, people who are just disgusting, like, how do you even classify them as human? Even those people will serve a purpose in your journey. No, they are not the ones growing you. They are the ones willingly providing the adversarial circumstance that forces you into a space of acknowledgement and direct use of your divine power over yourself, over your journey, over the details of your life. Never credit a person who maltreats you with your growth. When someone maltreats you and you grow from it, that credit belongs only to you. You chose to grow. You chose to overcome. You chose to tap into a reserve of personal power that these nasty people didn't realize you have. That's okay. That's okay. You didn't need them to realize anything. The only thing that was necessary was your realizations about yourself. You don't trust yourself. Inner trust in reverse. You don't trust yourself. How can we fix this? How can we correct the lack of trust? Well, first and foremost, release a dark wound, let love live. Let go of your death grip on the parts of you that have been so heavily wounded by other people and have begun to rot. Let that part of you go. Okay? That's not even the truth of who you are. Those are the outer layers of you that your soul knew would be the buffer zone, the cushion, because your soul already knew through this lifetime you're going to experience things that are going to be hurtful, that for some they intend it for it to be harmful, and that is not allowed to taint your core. I have shed so many layers of insulation, so many layers that have existed in preparation for my interactions with intentionally malignant people. And I needed to experience those things not as karmic punishment. Karma was never designed to punish you. Karma's purpose has always been to continue whatever lessons were not completed in previous existences, previous forms. This has been a very difficult, very, very difficult truth for me to learn, for me to accept. Having the ability to remember details of so many of my previous lives, knowing that many of those lifetimes were extremely barbaric. That those, quite a few of those lifetimes, are lifetimes where I existed as part of a military complex. That because of my existence in those lives, nations crumbled for new empires to rise. You know what it takes to raise an empire in the midst of existing nations? Do you know what it takes? I do. And even with that, none of that is my karma. Whatever I could not face and learn in that life, again, not as a punishment, but as a show of compassion from soul. I did not have enough previous experiences to be able to wrap my limited human perception around what I was being taught in that life. So soul said, pause the lesson, give them a break. They'll pick that lesson back up in another form. That's what karma is. You are not being punished. You are not being punished. You are being given the opportunity, a profound, life-altering opportunity to change by way of learning what you did not have the capacity to learn in a previous form. Listening for truth, but it's in reverse. I say all this and most people will hear it and be like, dang, that's profound, but there's no way that could possibly apply to me because, because why? If it didn't apply to you, you wouldn't be here to hear it, would you? Your soul brings you to the very places that make it possible for you to receive messages that apply directly to you. I've learned this time and time again. You are placed exactly where you are at right now because the messages coming through are directly for you. I know it's hard to believe. I know it's hard to believe. I tell you, I'm not so nice that I would tell you stories just to make you feel better. I'm absolutely capable and willing to be brutally honest. You guys have heard me before saying this is not going to apply to everyone. You notice how I didn't say that today. You notice how I didn't clarify multiple times over. Now, this is not for everyone because this message is for you. It doesn't matter what your spiritual practices are or if you even have any. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in tarot readings, if you don't believe in the use of oracle cards or any of that. It doesn't matter if you're religious and you see me as an abomination. None of that matters. You are here hearing these words because they apply to you, specifically you. You are being told you no longer need to play the sacred fool. You no longer need to be in this cycle of thinking either you are the puppet or you need to be the puppeteer. Do you need to be the puppeteer? Do you need to be the puppet? Or can you finally find a way to escape from this covert theater of psychological war and finally enter into the realm of your own potentiality? A space custom designed just for you by your soul, capable of helping you to see all these different aspects of yourself so that you could finally go beyond normal. Going beyond normal, allowing your ideas to come directly from that Christ consciousness, going from merely existing in layers and levels of holding it together, right? Just the bare minimum of holding it together. You are made for so much more. You're made for so much more than just holding it together. Let it all fall apart. And maybe then you'll see what pieces are worth being kept and which pieces you should be grateful for having been removed from you. Do you know, in order for me to begin my journey of walking my divine path, and I'm only a few steps into this extensive journey, I'm only a few steps into it. But in order for me to even just begin, what had to happen? I had to let it all fall apart. And when it fell apart, and I began to put the pieces back together, and I thought to myself, what more can happen? Because it's like everything possible has already happened. And then more happened. And more. And more. And as I tried to sew all the pieces together, thinking that if I can't hold it together long enough for the glue to cure, why don't I go ahead and stitch it together? Maybe that will be enough. Maybe soul will understand my commitment to the living of my divine journey, my divine purpose. And as I thought that was working, I looked back to see that soul had been following behind me with a seam ripper the entire time. All that careful stitching, the intention to heal and bring my pieces together, almost immediately being torn apart by soul. I see your comment, Sunflower Jenny. We were built for this, and here comes Michael with a profound question that I've never heard him ask before. Were you built for this, or were you built to build this? Mm. So then comes the realization. My logic of I was built for this, my shoulders were built to carry heavy loads, that I am strong enough. That still comes from a very limited human perception of the truth of the gravity of what I am actually capable of. Was I built for this, or was I built to build this? Because to truly build something sustainable, not only do you have to be strong, you have to have the knowledge, the awareness, and the ability to apply that knowledge. So now comes the second part of a realization that's taken my whole life to reach. Now I understand to a deeper degree the statement he told me years ago. It is not enough to know that you are made of stars. You must also take your rightful place among them. It's not enough for us to know we were built for this. We can do it. We can handle it. We can take it. We can endure. It's time to begin the process of realizing I exist to build it, to build the next part. Every journey starts with a single step. Do you know what it means to walk forward? You see, that single step is an almost failure. And you're probably like, what do you mean, almost failure? Well, if you look at the mechanics of walking, of human movement, walking is nothing but a series of almost falling. But before you reach that point of losing your balance and falling completely, your other foot steps forward to stop you. And then you continue forward into that space of almost falling before your other foot reaches forward again to stop you. So every time you feel like you're about to fail and fall flat on your face, but you don't at the very last minute, that's you taking a step forward. And if you're in a space at this point where it's like one thing after another thing after another thing, what the hell is going on? Honey, you're no longer walking. Maybe, maybe now you're jogging on your path. Maybe you're running, sprinting towards the next part of who you're meant to be, the life you're designed to live, the type of creations that you were brought into existence to create. In the world, not of the world, forgetting just how profound you are, how profound your existence is, forgetting that you are in this world, not of this world, and fully committing to the atrocities that is so prevalent in the world. The atrocity of denying the self, the awareness of what you are here to do, the atrocity of playing small just because people are uncomfortable by the fact that you exist, right? This morning I woke up feeling petty for no reason. Was I behaving petty? No. But I felt petty. And that is the raw truth of how I started the day. And I wondered why I woke up feeling petty, because I don't like being petty. It just doesn't feel right to me. But I allowed myself to organically feel and process and sit with it. And I get to the gym, which I had planned on not going until next week. But I woke up with a desire to go. And so I did, knowing that if I go, yes, there's a potentiality of severely injuring myself. But also, yes, I'm not dumb. I know when to stop. I know what to not do. I know my body. I know myself. So I need to not allow my pettiness to dictate exactly how deep I'll go into that petty energy today, knowing that a trip to the gym will nip that shit in the bud real quick. And I get there, and there is this gal who works out there. And I was telling my husband when I was done working out, I was telling him, there's this girl there. And I described her, and he goes, yeah, she always looks sad. And I'm like, yeah, no, she does. She does always look sad. But I've been noticing this growing thing of like, whenever she sees me working out, whenever she looks at me, it's this sense of like such intense insecurity. Like, baby boo, I am not interested in your man. I don't even interact with anyone. Like, why direct your insecurity at me? And normally that would make me feel some type of way. But today, and I saw her look at me with the same type of like blatant fear that her boyfriend would be watching me work out. In my head, I didn't feel bad for her. I was just like, honey, maybe you and your boyfriend should work out at a different time, because this time I come every day. And if my presence makes you insecure, you need to find a different time to come, because I'm not going to modify my day to accommodate your insecurities. I know for a fact I do not go out of my way to get attention from anybody. I know for a fact that when my husband is in the gym with me, I make it a point to go and give him some smoochies between some sets. Everyone else is not my concern. I'm not interfering with anyone. I'm not creating circumstance. I am simply working out. And, honestly, okay. Michael goes, okay. Sometimes when the songs be slapping, I be key zumbaing by myself, by myself. Okay. Okay. So, hey, tell your boyfriend to work out at a different time. Have that conversation with him. Don't involve me in whatever dynamics you have going on. And that tells me that I am losing my shame of who I am. So maybe the petty thing, maybe that petty energy, um, maybe that's why it was needed by me today. Because normally I'd be like, oh my God, I should just come at a different time because I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. Oh no, honey, no, no. I go at the time that I go. You got a problem with that? You're gonna have to find a way to resolve that within you. Because I'm not doing anything intentionally and I'm not going to blame myself. I'm not going to take on the responsibility of other people's pain. I can admit when I cause someone pain intentionally. And when I recognize that, I go out of my way to correct it, to make amends for it, right? Preparing for your dreams to come true requires you to see yourself clearly with no distortions, no more of that need to placate everybody in your environment. Like, that's, you know what? No, no. I don't go to the gym to show out and get attention. None of that is my concern. None of that is my concern. Do you exist in environments where you feel like it's your concern to appease everybody? That's draining your ability for your dreams to come into fruition. It just is what it is. Sometimes your energy is just so profound that the people in your environment recognize it for what it is. And maybe they just don't know how to navigate around it. I mean, are you really doing something? Are you intentionally doing something? Or have you found another way to blame yourself for other people's circumstance? I used to do that a lot. I remember years ago, I was live streaming and something, I don't remember what happened, but I know my energy surged hardcore. And sometimes it happens less these days. It's actually very rare these days. But um there were times way back when where my energy would surge to the degree that it would take out the entire house's Wi-Fi. The entire thing needed to be reset. It would cut the live stream, like everyone's devices would just drop. And then you'd hear all the kids like, Mom, what? Like I did it on purpose. Right. And I remember this one specific instance where my energy surged, insanely surged. And I was in a group chat with some friends, and one of them happened to have like an app or something like that that shows all of the Wi-Fi outages in the nation, and an entire region, the entire Pacific West and some of the Pacific Southwest, Wi-Fi was dead. Everyone's internet connection was dead. My immediate reaction to seeing that, oh my God, is that because of me? Did I do that? Girl, girl. Seriously. I blamed myself for that. They don't know. I was crying. I was crying like, "Oh my God, all the people that I've just inconvenienced. Was it me? Did I do that? Did I do that?" Tell me that's not obnoxious. Yes, I have the capability to surge enough to do that. But was that me assessing the situation and coming to that conclusion because of my energetic assessment of the situation? Or was that me immediately jumping to a conclusion that allows me to blame myself? I mean, we got to stop doing that. I never took the time to figure out if that was me. I never took the time to figure out if I did that. And you know what actually shifted my perception about situations like that? Way later, maybe a year, 2 years later, something like that. Um, someone tried to do witchcraft to legit kill me because people are just fucking weird, right? I don't start shit with people. But someone felt that it was necessary. I felt it. I felt the start of it. I didn't do anything. Didn't defend myself, didn't halt it, didn't do anything. And then it got so severe, and I began to feel some of it entering into my field, which it triggers a twin ray response. You do that, it creates a convergence moment, a moment of convergence, and the type of electromagnetic field that occurs with that degree of convergence because of how my frequency works. It works as an EMP, electromagnetic pulse. And you best believe all of the bullshit stopped, obviously. And then within a few minutes, one of my oldest girlfriends, known her for so long, she messages me and she's like, "Are you in town?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Girl." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, someone's trying to kill me again. Someone's doing black magic stuff." And she goes, Did you stick up for yourself?" And I was like, No. And she goes, "I knew it. I knew it." She was so upset with me. Why? Because I blew out one of those transistor stations, took out the power for the entire city. She was clear across town. She had no power. And she was livid. She never gets livid with me. But she was livid. She's like, "You have to start protecting yourself." But I don't want to hurt anybody. If they're hurting you, you have to stop them from doing that. But I don't want to hurt anybody. And then she had to reframe it for me. If something happens to you, what do you think will happen to your kids? How will that affect Frey? If I had just simply defended myself, it wouldn't have gotten to a point where it created a full-on twin response that required some intense degree of convergence, and everyone would still have electricity. But because I chose not to, I enabled, I'm not allowed to be harmed. I know this. I'm not allowed to be harmed. Shit's not allowed. Unless it's something my soul has already planned for me, it's not allowed. And if I allow things that are not allowed, a lot of people get inconvenienced. That was a turning point because I knew for a fact I did that. I knew for a fact a partial convergence occurred, and it did that. I don't blame myself for things like that anymore. I can feel when it comes from me. I can feel it deeply. Do you have to experience things to that degree so that you can finally stop blaming yourself for things that have nothing to do with you? You want the next part of your life to come to fruition. You want your dreams to come true. Because your soul is preparing you for that. It's giving you all the information that you need. It's letting you know what you need to get to the other side of your fear. The side of the fear where your courage exists in higher concentrations than fear itself. You can do things while afraid. You know that, right? Everything I do, even if I'm afraid, I'll do it anyways. I'll do it anyways. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is what you are willing to do in the face of it, looking it in the eyes. Visions of life beyond death in reverse. There is this very intense message of you thinking that this ego death cycle that you are in is like intended to completely destroy you. Um, to some degree, you're correct. You thought I was going to say that's a lie. No. To some degree, you're correct. It's designed to destroy the parts of you that are no longer in alignment, no longer applicable to the next part of your life, but you won't let that go. So now it needs to be destroyed. When you feel like your life is getting harder and harder, you're being prepared for the next part. You are being prepared for the next part. The next part requires those aspects of yourself that believes in the limitations that you're currently adhering to no longer exist, to no longer be a viable aspect of you. So it will deplete that part to the degree that it becomes easily dissolvable, becomes perishable. Card number 28, collaborative dreaming. Just because you're surrounded by people who want to feign sleep does not mean your soul is going to give you a break. Your journey has nothing to do with other people's journeys. Your journey is strictly about you. Again, if just because you are surrounded by people who are feigning sleep, feigning, pretending to not be aware, choosing to avert their gaze from the reality of what they are living through, that doesn't mean anything. The whole monkey see monkey do is not gonna that's not a viable excuse for soul. Soul is not gonna take that as like, oh yeah, no, sure, no, it's okay, don't worry, no, it's okay. Uh-uh. Yep. You refuse to surrender to your process. You refuse to surrender to your process. I think for some people, they really think and feel like they could maybe biohack life in some way. Like they can forego the type of lessons and learning. Yeah, no. No, you can't. You can't. Because when you do that, you kind of you're trying to bypass the very events and experiences that will give you a very clear understanding of the gravity of the choices you make and that you are in full control. Once you begin to realize the gravity of how your choices lead to the very effects that are making you feel some type of way within your own life, you begin to realize how powerful you are, how much of a say you have in your journey. So, no, life will not allow you to circumvent that. You will not start a new chapter. As long as you're still doing the same things, not going to be good. It's not going to be good. But if you choose to really immerse yourself and make these difficult decisions, that oftentimes will take you to a different place, sometimes geographically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes intellectually. Um, I think some really good things could happen. What? My husband. I think some really good things could happen. You have to walk your truth. You have to walk your truth. You have to really just get to a place where pretty much everything you do is so steeped in your most authentic expression of what your purpose is. I mean, yeah, that's a process. Understanding the gravity of your purpose is a process. And oftentimes it will take a considerable amount of time and effort to begin cultivating a more profound understanding of what that purpose and path is. But yeah, no, you're not going to be able to avoid this. You are being prepared for your dreams to come true, and this is something just so, like, I don't know, I think it's going to be mind-boggling for most people. There's going to be some of us who have been through so many different cycles of this already that, it's no biggie. You get it. It's going to be challenging, but you're rolling with the punches. Um, things are happening. You're making it happen. You're flowing with what's happening. All of that wonderful stuff, right? Um, but then also, I think there is a huge part that really, um, you don't want to comply. You're going to comply. You're going to comply because you're going to be faced with a mirrored soul, someone who carries within them the potentiality that you are trying to currently reach. They probably don't know the gravity of their presence in your life. They probably don't understand it. This is not something that they're going to do cognitively, with full cognition of why your paths are crossing. No, 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 no. This is probably someone who's just going to show up. They're going to show up, and it's going to be like a moment of triggering the parts of you that need to be awake and functioning at this point. Mother Earth in reverse. So we're not actually addressing the things that need to be addressed. I think for many, it's this thing of you are simply focused on the earthly concerns. Now, yes, you do have to focus on what you need while living a human life, but there are other aspects that go beyond just that. I mean, are you sick and tired of barely making it? Are you sick and tired of being paycheck to paycheck and sometimes not even making it to the next paycheck? Are you tired of the fear that exists because damn, this paycheck's not even enough? Like, what are you going to do? Continue with the same struggle? I mean, these are things that are much easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is not easy stuff. But if you're really sick and tired of that, look, here's how the cards are playing out, right? This is shadow self in reverse. You're not willing to tap into the shadows, the unknowns, the unrecognized variables that soul is bringing to you, right? If you hold on to your integrity as you dive into the unknown, your shadow work won't be upside down anymore. What does it mean if your shadow work is no longer upside down? That means you are finally retrieving the parts of you that need to be aligned in order to build a bridge to get you to the other side of your fear. Yeah. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I oftentimes get flustered. I get flustered being able to see clearly the path that someone is embarking upon. This path that doesn't honor their purpose, doesn't help with their growth, just it doesn't do anything that it's needing to do. to reduce the amount of struggle. And I get flustered when I'm able to see this and I'm sharing this, and then they're like, "Yeah, but, you know, no." Like, "No, I that's not what I need to do." "Okay, okay." "Well, what do you mean, okay? What's gonna happen if I don't do it?" "But you can see, Emmy." "Yeah, no, I can." "Well, you need to tell." "No, I don't. I don't need to tell you anything. You made your decision. You made your decision. See, I'm shown things in advance for one of two reasons. The first one is so that you can properly prepare. If I'm telling you what's going to happen and I'm telling you the ways to avert that, then that means I'm being shown things in advance about you and your life so that you can avoid it. You see, all psychics, this applies to all psychics. They see things based on your current trajectory, based on your current mindset. Your trajectory is based on your current mindset. Something shifts in the way you see life, something shifts regarding the concentration of courage versus the concentration of fear. A new trajectory is laid out. Sometimes what a psychic can see for you is seen because your ass be stubborn as fuck. At which point I need to toss my hands in the air and be like, I'm good. I'll be good. I will not interfere. I'm fully capable of letting people fall on their ass. I'm absolutely okay with it. I'm absolutely okay with it. I used to not be okay with it. And then I realized like I'm absolutely trampling on people's sovereignty and I need to knock that shit off. And now I'm okay with it. I'm like, fall on your ass. I mean, fall on your ass, scrape your elbows and knees, whatever you need to do, baby boo. There's bandages. You'll heal. You'll be fine. Yep, you'll be fine. You might not be fine for a while, but eventually you'll be fine. And people will be like, "Oh my god, Emmy, that's so mean." No, it's not. No, it's not. The greater the struggle, the greater the pain, the more profound the learning that occurs. No, I will not pick you up from when you fall. Absolutely not. Learning for yourself that you have the capacity to lift yourself up. That's a profound thing to rob someone of. That's not okay for me to do that. It is not okay. So decisions need to be made. Decisions absolutely need to be made. Ooh, I wanted to make sure some notification came on, right? I wanted to make sure you didn't miss this pending support before the opportunity ends. Did you know that you could get help for your situation? I have good news and bad news for you. Oh shit. The bad news is that this is your last chance. Hold on. Where is it? That this is your last chance to take advantage of the support. Oh, shit. Um, I don't take it lightly when souls start sending messages like that. I share this with you guys. I've shared it before. I remember years ago, like many, 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 many years ago. Um, we were exhausted. We were traveling nonstop, my family, and we were basically like motel hopping across state lines and stuff. And we had just arrived in this one specific state and we were exhausted, like exhausted. We had been on the road for over 24 hours. And we got to the motel room. We unload everything, and everyone kind of just wants to take a deep breath and relax. And as soon as I lay on the bed, because it's like early evening time, late afternoon, early evening, my phone goes off, and The truncated message says, last chance for Frey. And it had a radioactive symbol by it. Now, when you open the message, it says last chance for free shipping. But the way the message was truncated on my phone, it said last chance for Frey. Because I had been told before that notification came in, we need to leave this motel room right now. And I told my husband, and I can't fault him because he is exhausted. We're all exhausted. And he says to me, no, I'm not going anywhere today. I'm going to watch my shows. I'm going to sleep. And then tomorrow we can go. And then that notification came in and it said last chance for Frey. And I was like, you can sleep. Jesus planning to fuck yo ass up. Me and the kids, I'm going to the store to get more snacks and whatever it is we need. And we are leaving. You can stay. But look at this message. And I showed it to him. And he's like, fuck that. I'm not staying. And we immediately went to the store together. And we got whatever snacks and necessities we needed for the car ride. And we hightailed it out of that state and drove through so many states to get to our next destination. And a tornado hit. And after every county that we exited out of, as soon as we entered into a new county, guess what? It was an adverse weather alert, flash flooding, hurry to high ground. We did not stop. We kept going. We kept going. All through the whole night, we kept going. Like, nope, fuck that. We're not stopping. Because if we stopped, we'd be stranded in the car in a flash flood with small kids. Fuck that. And so these days, when his wife is bugging out, he's like, where are we leaving? Where are we going? There's no questions. There's no questions. Right? There's no question. You make your own decisions. You do. And then you live through the consequence of your decisions, whether it's a good consequence or a bad consequence. It's totally up to you. Another time, years later, we went on, or actually years before, we went on a nationwide RV trip with my mother. And we were, I don't remember where we were, but we had arrived at the RV park when it was already closing. And luckily the owner lived there. We even interrupted his dinner and everything. And he was kind enough to allow us to stay. And he said that the kids would love the spot that he was going to put us in because it's right by the river. When we wake up, it's going to be beautiful and all of this stuff. And my husband goes and sets everything up. He puts the jacks down for the RV. He hooks us up, full water, full electric, all of that. He sets all of that up. And then everyone's ready for bed. I couldn't sleep. I fell asleep for a few minutes and then I sat up like, we need to leave. He's like, fuck that. I'm tired. And I was like, I don't give a shit. Keep laying down and sleeping. Unhook us first. Unhook us first. I'll take care of the jacks while you're unhooking us. We're leaving. And he's like, you're fucking crazy. All right, fine. You drive. And I was like, I'm good. I'll drive. Your girl can drive a 39-foot RV. Please, bitches, please. I can drive that shit easy peasy. Easy peasy. Your girl can drive. And I was like, I'll drive. I don't give a shit. We're not staying here though. He unhooks us. I proceed to drive and I drive up a mountain in heavy pouring rain. We were somewhere in South Dakota. I don't know where. But I drove up a mountain, and we were over by what is it called? Where the presidents are etched into the mountain, whatever that's called. That's where we ended up. And yeah, I waited for everyone to wake up, and we decided to go visit that particular landmark. And while we were there, went into the gift store. It's a couple hours later. Oh, guess what plays on the news? Mount Rushmore. That's right. Guess what plays on the news? The city that we just left. And mind you, as I left that RV park, my mom woke up and she was like, "You're fucking crazy," in Tagalog, of course, cussing me out in a whole nother language. She's like, "You're crazy. We just paid. Where are you going?" And I was like, "You might want to just sit down. Go back to sleep. You're going to be perfectly fine. We need to leave." And she's like, "You're crazy." And no, fuck yeah. Call me crazy all you want. But you know what? The news that next morning, we found out the city that I had left, my crazy ass was like, "We can't stay here." That entire RV park was flooded. The river went over the banks. That whole place was so fucking flooded that they said there's no supplies going in and out for the next week or two, and that they're getting together the National Guard to airdrop the basic necessities. Who crazy now? Who's crazy now? It ain't me. It ain't me, right? It ain't me. I avoid all of these unnecessary bullshit experiences simply because I listen. Fuck yeah, that's scary. Like, why am I being made to feel so afraid and that we can't stay? Because we need to leave. That's the only reason we need to leave. Where do I need to go? Anywhere but here. Anywhere but here. Like, nope, we're good. We're not staying here. Many, many times this type of thing has happened. Many, many times other types of things has happened. And none of the inconvenience of unnecessary experiences ever hits my family. Why? Because I listen. And even though I'm afraid, I do what I'm told. Even though I'm afraid, I will do what I'm told. I will do what I'm told. I've had so many things happen. And in that process, we were transient for several years, motel hopping through all sorts of different states, boondocking in an RV through so many different wilderness areas. Let me tell you, that was one of the most beautiful periods of my life. I say this every single time that period comes up. We were so fucking protected. It was insane. So protected. So safe. So safe to the degree that even my kids, that they feel the same way I do. That was the most peaceful adventure we've ever been on. It was so peaceful. So peaceful. We were not made to feel certain things, experience unnecessary things, because even if I'm uncomfortable, I don't care. I will do what soul tells me to do. I will not put my children in harm's way. I will not do any of that just because I'm afraid. Now, I think with all of that happened, it really helped to cultivate a fearlessness in me, a very staunch belief in my courage and my courage ability to prevent unnecessary experiences, unnecessary hardships. It cultivated the parts of me that needed to be cultivated in order for me to develop into the person I am right now, the person that I am today. All of it. All of it. We probably did go see the Crazy Horse Monument. we've been through all sorts of different places. And I tell you, the only places we haven't been is from Connecticut all the way up to Maine. We've been every other state. Oh, Connecticut to Maine and Alaska. We've been through Canada. We've been through Mexico. We went all the way down to like an hour or so, maybe 2 hours north of Guatemala. Yeah, we've been like literally everywhere. Everywhere. All driving. Yeah. I mean, it's a powerful experience. It's a very powerful experience to be able to really just allow soul to guide me in the way that it needs to guide me, right? Now, through all that, I needed to go through all of that, like really just stressful things to get me into a space of self acceptance. Self acceptance. I need to accept the ways in which I am different and how my differences from other people are the very things that have the capacity, a natural capacity to make all my dreams come true. Like, let that sink in. Let that sink in, you know? I have the ability to speak so eloquently and articulately. Um, I have the ability to speak in such a way that the most difficult concepts can be readily and easily understood by anyone and everyone, right? By anyone and everyone. And I've been told that way before I ever became publicly visible. Way before. When I accept that about myself, I get however many steps closer to some of my dreams coming true. Why? Well, part of my destined path is to be a public speaker, speaking on global stages. That's part of my path. I don't want it. I don't like it. I'm not looking forward to it. But if I want my dreams to come true, I have to continue to cultivate it and allow it to happen. Well, surely there's another way to be rich, right? Oh, it's not my dream to be rich. No, it's not. That's not part of my dream. My dream is to touch and inspire as many people as possible so that when enough of us realize our power, that means enough of us will stop participating in the very matrix that oppresses and separates us. And when that happens, the world has no choice but to change. And yes, in the process of doing that, I will amass quite a bit of wealth. And that'll give me the opportunity to make real one of my other dreams, ending hunger. I mean, when you get rich to a certain point, you can use that money to begin implementing solutions that literally end world hunger. Yeah. You can finance the very organizations that will help address all medical issues. Could you imagine if I could create an organization, if I could bankroll an organization that teaches and makes possible the earning of medical degrees, right? Properly trained doctors, not allopathic doctors. I'm talking about actual health care doctors who know the different medicinal qualities and properties of specific flora, and we can actually address diseases. And in exchange for the free education I will provide them, um, as part of their residency, they are to be dispersed through the world to provide free health care, and that I could provide another type of education for those who are not drawn to the medical. This other type of education would be geared towards herbalism, farming, so that those people could learn how to properly and safely grow and process the medicines that the medical people will use. Involves no money from anyone receiving this type of health care. I mean, your dreams are not dreams. Your dreams are a very loose plan. You are being told in advance the end goal of this life. You are being shown in advance. You just don't know how you're going to get there. You don't know how you're going to do it. You just don't know. Just because you don't know doesn't mean it's impossible. When I first became publicly visible, I had no idea that I would reach a point where I could speak so freely, openly, candidly, that I could have the courage to allow complete strangers to see me existing in spaces of extreme vulnerability, and have that vulnerability be received in such a way that empowers the people who see it, rather than further encourage people to be hurtful and harmful towards me. I mean, I still don't get it. I still don't get it. Do I need to get it? No, I need to flow with it. So long as you don't flow with it, change will not come. None of this will happen for you. Do you want it to happen for you? You carry the magic of your ancestors through your veins. You carry all of the knowledge that they have acquired. Every single person from your bloodlines that has come before you is gifting you with information. Information that you can't tap into, because guess what? All the programs that we are told we must participate in blocks us from even acknowledging our birthright to this information. Right? What am I talking about? Well, so I am Catholic, baptized and confirmed, have all my sacraments. All intents and purposes, I am categorically Catholic. Okay, that's lovely. My ancestral magic involves the ability to bilocate, projecting your consciousness to different geographic locations, projecting your consciousness in such a way that you could enter into the density of flesh of someone I've never even met. How is that important? Well, if I could project a certain component of my consciousness into the density of your flesh, and I have a proclivity for medical knowledge, I am medically inclined. When I scan you, I could tell you exactly what you need to tell your doctors to look for, the tests that they should order. Yeah. To me, it's not profound. To me, that's like, no, that's what I do. Someone asked me like a year ago, what is it that you do when you scan? Like, what is that exactly? Because they have no idea about spiritual stuff. That's fine. I'll answer your question. When I look at a human body, depending on the objective, it's like me doing an MRI, CAT scan, um, ultrasound, X-ray, and then also doing all of those things on an energetic level. So I'm looking at your energies, your auras, frequencies, morphogenetic template, physical body, pathology. I'm looking at everything, the whole shebang, your entire existence. And I can see all of that and make sense of how everything connects. So for that particular circumstance, it was just a casual conversation that I was having. That was a person who is having fertility issues. I see exactly why. They had a sexual trauma that occurred many, many years ago, and they stored that within their womb, making it inhospitable for any type of um, fertilized egg to attach. All I would need to do is an etheric cauterization um, of that etheric wound. And then I would need to scrape the lining of the uterus, scrape that all out so that there's none of that distortion that continues to grow and further embed in the uterine wall. And I let them know this will initiate a full on period. Is that okay with you? hmm I've done it for people before. But see, here's the thing, when you don't want to address the root causation, because to address the root causation would be to distort your perception of your identity, you're going to block it. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes, and people are going to feel some type of way about what I'm about to say, but it's the reality of what I see over and over and over again. Oftentimes, your sexual orientation is rooted in trauma. What you are drawn to is either an expression, a continuation of a trauma you've experienced, or the opposing polarity of that trauma. That doesn't mean that your sexual orientation, your self identification is invalid. It just helps to explain it. It helps to explain it. Why um, you leaned more towards a specific orientation. Everyone's orientation is valid. It's not to dismiss your orientation. But if you're having fertility issues, you have to take a look at the root causations of that. It's not always sexual trauma. It's not always sexual trauma. Sometimes it's a very traumatic household, traumatic family dynamics. It has to do with the sacral chakra. It has to do with what the sacral chakra governs, the way that you store traumatic memories and experiences in your physical flesh. I had another person who, again, it was a casual conversation and I ended up doing work for them. It's a friend of mine. And she had a really severe breakup, maybe like, I don't know, like a year before we had the conversation. And she was really struggling to overcome the heartbreak and all of that. And then, she shared with me that she had had her period nonstop for like over a month already. And I was like, that's not normal. Are you becoming anemic? That's not normal. And the doctors didn't know what to do with it. And I was like, it's because of your heartbreak. You're storing it all in your uterine lining. And she understood. She agreed. And I was like, can I help you with this? And she's like, yeah, you can try. And I said I would need to do, what's it called? A curletage? I can't remember how to pronounce it. It's like when you take a sharp instrument and you dilate the cervix and you gain access to the internal portion of the uterus and you cut out, scrape off the uterine lining. New lining will grow. New lining will grow. And so I told her that. I was like, so what's going to happen? It's going to initiate a full on heavy period. Okay. Your body is going to read this like you're having a miscarriage. You're going to cramp. It's going to be very uncomfortable. Are you okay with that? And she said, yes. And I said, if I do this for you, you have to begin really processing the traumas of what happened in that relationship. I'm available for you to vent all the hell you want, which she also took me up on that offer. And I would talk shit about this guy all day. I would, because I wanted to make her laugh. I was like, he ain't shit, girl. Talking shit about him all day to her. Finally, it began to like, she's like, he really isn't shit. I'm like, he isn't. Um, well, when you do things energetically to a certain degree, because I know how to modulate standing scalar waves, um, I had never met her in person. I still haven't met her in person, but it had a physical effect. Within a few minutes of me initiating the process, a very heavy period started, like a huge gush. And I told her what symptoms to look for that would indicate like you need to go to the ER. She's in a completely different country, right? She ended up not needing to go to the ER. Her period ended, I think, within 2 or 3 days of me initiating the process, and it never did that again. That was years ago. It never did that again. Yeah. It was something that she absolutely needed to be rid of those feelings of inadequacy, internal toxicity, and all these different things. It affected her so deeply. This person treated her so poorly. If you're willing to address the root causations, the work that I do for you can be long lasting, beneficial in a very long lasting way, oftentimes fully resolving the physiological symptomatic presentation of an energetic and emotional circumstance. That's the root of everything. The emotions, which then affect the mental being the pathway used to reprogram the standing scalar waves. And as that becomes reprogrammed in a distorted manner, you begin to have cellular expression that is distorted. You begin to develop enough of a physiological distortion that physiological symptoms present itself. That's a whole nother field of conversation. Let me go ahead. The trap, there's nothing that's going to trap you. You have full authority in this journey of yours. You know what I mean? You have full authority in this journey of yours. It's just you're not using the appropriate degree of judgment because okay, these advanced, evolved, spiritual, psychological gurus are telling you that no, you should not be judgmental. Why the fuck not? There's a difference between the meaning of judgmental and the meaning of condemning someone. You need to use proper judgment to know whether someone is good for you or not. Judgment is a major component of discernment. It's what you do with that judgment that turns it into a condemnation. If I judge you to be someone who has had certain types of struggles, maybe addiction struggles, and then suddenly I'm feeling like, oh, you are a horrible person because you have, oh my God, you have an addiction. You're horrible. That's a condemnation. I've worked with many addicts. I've worked with so many addicts, and the ones who are ready for change, for healing, they find me, they work with me, and they actually apply themselves. They're no longer an addict. They're no longer an addict. They don't have a dependency on substances. Why? Because I healed them? No, because I saw them for who they are and I acknowledged. Mhm. Mm, I suddenly felt quite a few of them just now. I suddenly felt how they felt knowing they are finally seen and their pain acknowledged. A pain so deep and just so destructive that they needed to quiet it down with whatever they could because there was no one there to hold out their hand. Yeah. I've worked with many, many hurting people who society labels as an addict. Addiction is a deficiency. to profound connectivity with another living thing. That is the root of addiction. A deficiency in connectivity, a deficiency in a sense of safety, a deficiency in acknowledgement of what you are going through. All of us are on a soul journey. We're all on this journey to figure out the things we need to figure out about ourselves, about other people. And no, I've never had an addiction problem. I have a very addictive personality, and I've never allowed myself to become addicted to anything or anyone because I'm aware, deeply aware, that I have an addictive tendency. And so, no, I will not allow myself. Yeah. All it takes is awareness, awareness and courage. And you won't need the crutches. You won't need the crutches. And someone is like, it's not that easy. Actually, it is. It's the interference that makes it not easy. The voices that are heard, you think they're your own, they're not. That's what makes it hard. Substance addiction, it makes you more accessible. Depending on what type you use to self medicate, it will give specific types of demonic energies access to you. See, most people don't know demonic things have a highly developed survival ability of mimicry. They can mimic the sound of your voice and the way you speak, the words you use. When there's no one there to counteract those words intended to interfere, well, you start to think it's you. And then you begin to wholeheartedly believe it's you. It is much easier said than done, yes. But it's also not as hard as people make it out to be. I find that people believe things are harder than they are when they don't believe in themselves. You don't believe in your own sovereignty, in your own personal power over yourself. You don't believe in your strength. And for most addicts, you don't believe anyone really cares. That one is the most painful one to feel when I work with someone who has those struggles. Even if you have people who love you so deeply, when you've heard the words for so long and have felt so alone, it's very easy to believe the lie that no one actually cares. If you have the courage to allow yourself to be reborn from shadow, you can absolutely overcome that. You can overcome that. And you can begin to recognize that these things that you hear that encourage you to relapse, they are not your voice. They are not your actual desires. For many of us, we refuse to listen to our intuition because it communicates to us the most difficult truths that are so hard for us to wrap our own mind around. I wish I had understood him more then. I think the pain was so intense that no matter how hard you tried, there was no way to understand unless you allowed yourself to be immersed in a world you did not belong in. Most people will not understand. It does not make them bad people. As an ex addict, it was all of the things you stated. The feeling of being unloved and not worth your breath is very painful. A long road to loving self. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Many of us are very lucky to not know what that feels like. Many of us. I have no idea what that type of pain is like. And I'm very thankful that I'm given opportunities by clients and people who come to me for help and for just that moment. I'm able to truly feel the type of all consuming pain that I've been blessed to not know. I found that most of the people who struggle with addiction that find their way to me and allow me to help are some of the most profound gifts. And that they agree to experience that degree of pain to cultivate those gifts for others. Man, that's hard. That's hard. Most people will not understand the type of pain that it takes to cultivate the most profound gifts just so that you could be worthy of fulfilling a purpose you were created to fulfill. Yeah, I've been through a lot in life. And even with all the things that I've experienced myself, it's nowhere near what those people experienced. It's nowhere near those types of experiences. It's very easy to condemn yourself. It is very easy to think that you are such a burden to others, that everything would be so much easier for everyone if you weren't around. And that's the biggest lie. That is the biggest lie. There are many, many, many things that all of us need to really open ourselves to. And these are the things that will help us to understand, help us to realize just how important our existence is and how we might need to go about tapping into more of our potential, allowing more of our dreams to come true. It's time to acknowledge when we're up in upside down cycles. I think for many of us, we are in cycles that are absolutely upside down, and we don't know what to do with ourselves. We don't know which way to go. Go in the way you've never gone before. Go in the way that you have never gone before. What does that even mean? Do what makes you afraid. Wait, what? Do the thing that makes you afraid and see how your life changes. Do the thing that you are the most afraid of doing. Make the decisions that scare you the most. The only thing stopping you from living your dreams is this irrational fear that's not even rooted in any type of reality. It's not. I've had so many fears be negated by the experience I was afraid to experience. I went skydiving. I have a phobia of heights. Yeah, no, I'm scared. I was scared of heights. Oh my God, how did you go skydiving then? Why would you go skydiving if you're scared of heights? Well, because I was going through something and I wanted to feel alive. Mhm. I wanted to feel alive. So I went skydiving. And I thought I would be scared. And I wasn't until he opened the door and swung his leg over. And in swinging his leg over, he pushed me to the edge. And I was going to say, I don't want to do this anymore. But unfortunately, there was someone else in the plane who couldn't jump if I didn't get out. At which point I got out. And then I was going to say, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was thinking maybe we could just hold on to the wing while the other person jumped out. But then the guy yells in my ear, do something cool. And I was like, rock on. And then this fucker let go. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. And within a second or two, because we were falling backwards. And I was like, no. The plane going further and further. No. Oh shit. And then he turned us around. He's like, banana, do the banana, And so I was like, I'm gonna banana. I'm gonna banana. And so I did the banana. And as I'm facing the earth, I'm like, oh my God, it's so pretty up here. I forgot to be scared because I was like, oh, that's so fascinating. I didn't realize the mountain was that far. Oh my God. I thought it was super close. And then I was like, oh my God, there's so much water. wow, there's like water everywhere. Yeah. And then he tells me he's gonna pull the parachute, and I was like, okay. And then, like, we were dangling in there. I was dangling from this man's crotch for like 10, 15 minutes. I was just dangling from his crotch. Like, oh my God, it's so peaceful up here. I was not scared at all. I felt more at home dangling in the sky than I do on the ground. Tell me that ain't crazy. Tell me that ain't crazy. And when I tell you I'm protected, boo, we're up in this like little tin can of a plane, right? Like little. It only has one seat and a cargo area. We're like getting to where we need to be. And I see this like wristband thing by my foot. And I'm like, oh, should I tell him? And I'm like, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. Like, if we needed that, it wouldn't be there. And I wasn't going to say anything. And then he's like, you ready? We're almost there. And I was like, hey, do you need that? By my foot. And I point, he goes, oh shit, we need that. And so I use my foot to bring it closer, and I hand it to him. He goes, whew, that was a good save. Apparently, that's what tells him the altitude we're at so that we don't die. Yeah. When I say I'm protected, I'm protected. He put it on. He goes, good save. High five. Like, oh, okay. Hey. You guys want to see it? I'll show it to you. Hold on. Okay. So here. My face already. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. The ad. Ooh. All right. This guy. This guy. I was dressed as a panda because, I mean, that's how we do. That's how we do. Okay? Here. He was funny. He's like super chill. Oh, you can't see it. Hold on. Okay, maybe. mm. All right, that'll do. Let's go ahead and play it anyways. And that's me smiling, fake smiling, guys. Like, having casual conversation. And then he decides to spin us around where I'm completely horizontal. Yeah, he thought that was hilarious. And it was dangling there in the sky that I realized my fear never had a basis. And if that debilitating fear was a lie, what other fears? What other fears had I allowed to control my life, to dictate my path in such a way that crippled me and prevented me from truly being alive? What other fears? And it's this thing of, you know, if I had listened to everyone who was like, oh my God, why would you do that? You're so crazy. You're so crazy. Why would you do that? I would have never known. I would have never known the way I allow my fear to cripple me in ways that were so unnecessary. Would you do it again? Yes, but I will only do it again if I can jump by myself. I don't want to be attached to anyone next time. So, part of my workouts involves really strengthening my pectorals, my shoulders, and my core muscles because you're going to need to lift your feet, your legs all the way up like a dangling leg lift um, before you land. And you're going to need to have the pectoral strength to pull down so that you can go ahead and control, maneuver the parachute. So I would do it again. I absolutely would. I would do it again. And like I said, I would have that specific stipulation, which requires me to become, I don't know if it's a certified or a licensed skydiver, which that place that I went to, they do license you. You could get that there. They'll teach you how to do it. I think it's like an hour or two before the jump. They take that time to teach you. And yeah, I'm almost strong enough. I could do quite a few hanging leg lifts. Um, I could already do what do you call it? Chin ups. I could do quite a few of those. So I would only feel comfortable doing it if my body is more than strong enough. Um, and I'm confident in that physical strength. I would absolutely get licensed and jump solo. So, yeah, I would. I would. My fear of heights is just no, no, no. My fear of most things is no, no more. I'm done being scared. Even if I am scared, I'm doing it anyways. If there's things that need to be done, I'm doing it anyways. If there are dreams needing to be manifested, I'm manifesting anyways. Fear can continue to be present. It is what it is. But it will no longer cripple me. It will no longer hinder me. It will no longer be the very reasoning as to why I'm not accomplishing the things I need to accomplish. And I hope that you get to a point within your journey where you no longer allow fear to do that to you either. Here's the thing that I learned. You're in full control of everything. And even when things don't go in the way you want it to go, the way you expect it to go, you can still alter it to the degree that it needs to be modified in order for the end result to be what you need it to be. Not everything has to go perfectly according to plan. My fear will serve its purpose. The of fear is to bring your attention to things that you need to pay attention to. That's it. That is it. So, yes, my fear can continue to exist. Whatever I'm afraid of, that's what I'm needing to pay attention to. And most likely, that is what I'm needing to run headfirst into. Right? Remember, we talked about the bison, and I have the figure of a bison. I have the physique of a bison, right? Bison is my spirit animal, right? And that is okay, because the bison, they don't run away from the storm. They run head on into it, right? They run head on into it. So, ooh, I got food. Oh my God. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? With freshly made ginger dressing. I'm saying I am so well taken care of. I am so well taken care of. I got to get going, but I do want to remind you guys, I'm going to be live tomorrow for the Divine Wealth Eclipse Fire Ceremony. If you would like me to do energetic work for you, you want a reading, you want a scan, you want any of that, go check out the QR code or check out the link. The time for the ceremony itself has been changed to 3 p.m. That's slightly after the eclipse actually happens. It's still good. Energy is still there. Energy is still there. This is going to be a very, very potent period. Do with it what you need to do. Allow yourself to receive the support you need. It's super important for you to give yourself permission to reach the next part of your life. Okay? So, lesson learned though, I will not be using this format again. We're going to do the full screen format next time. We're going to do the full screen format next time. So, thank you all for bearing with me as I tried this out. It was weird for me. Probably weird for you guys too. I'll see you guys again very soon, probably tomorrow. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and follow me across all social media. I'm evolving everywhere. Everywhere. I'll see you guys again very soon.